Okay, now we are going to open the window. We have the wall with all the components, and now we have to open the window here. So we agreed that this distance, the distance from the floor to the bottom part of the window, this is the sill, okay? And it has to be at least 3 feet. So we created that line, 3 feet, and then we created another line here to make it match with this element that we have here, okay? So everything that is above 3 feet, that's fine. And then we selected that level. Actually, I'm going to move it to the bottom part of this element. Okay. And here we will place the beam that limits the window above. Remember that this is what we're doing. So we need a beam here, that's the sill, and then we need another beam there. Okay. Okay, let's do it. And I'm going to use component modeling places here. Architecture, component, modeling place. This is structural framing. I'm going to use extrusion. And then I'm going to set the work plane at grid U. So this is it. We have 4 inches. And there you go. And now this is not gypsum board. This can be made of any wood, glue laminated wood or softwood or whatever. Okay, any wood. And we finish the model. And now we have to look at this from, say, the 3D view. It's here. And we have to put this between the double rafter that we have created. Okay, so there's a double rafter here and another double rafter there. Okay, here the wireframe, it's like confusing, and with hidden lines we can't do anything, we can't see anything. There's a graphic display option, so we can work with some transparency. With the transparency, we can see if that element is in the right position. It's there, more transparent. Okay, there you go. So that's the beam that we have created. It's in the right position. And okay, this is it. And now we have to do the same here. So go to the south elevation. I think I can copy this one. There. Then on the 3D view. Well, I copied this, but now I have to adjust the length of that beam here. And here. Okay, so now you see that we have the double this beam, that one. Now we can proceed to open the window itself, the opening. So to do that, I have an interior finish here, and I have an exterior finish there. Okay, so I'm going to create a void to open these two elements. So first, we have to create, to select this one, edit in place, select it again, and then create a void form by extrusion. And if I set the work plane, let's pick a plane here. Now I can create a rectangle here and there. Okay, finish. And we have opened this. If we make it to consistent colors, you see that we have opened that void in the external finish, but not in the internal finish. So now I'm going to select this internal board, and I can do the same. Edit in place, select it again, create a void by extrusion, set the work plane, something parallel to the screen, this one, and now I can create the same rectangle. Okay, make sure that the void is thicker than the wall that we're going to cut, then finish the model. Sometimes that happens and we have to select the cut geometry. Okay, so select cut, then select again the wall you want to cut, select the void, and now it works. Well, it works, but you see that we have to, we have this element and we have the thermal insulation here. Okay, so for the thermal insulation, we have to move it down just below that beam that we have done here. And we have to do that with all the thermal insulating panels that we have here. Another one. Down. Find out this one. And move it down. Okay. Oh, by the way, I have to move this even lower because it has to be below the beam. There you go. Okay. Now I need, because that part doesn't have the thermal insulation, so I need another thermal insulation here. So I'll do it later. But now I have these elements So those elements are glue laminated. So those are structural columns. Actually, they're not a component model in place. So what I would do is to go to the south elevation and I select this one. Now the top part of this is that level seal. Okay, remember that I created that level. So the top level is not level 15, it's level seal. And now it's there, and I don't need this. Okay, so that's what I have done with this one. And now the same thing with that one. And now top offset and level seal. And now it works well. Again, I have to create something here. Okay, but I think now if I do not apply any transparency, there's still something that is a wall. Oh, because there was another board here. Okay, so we have this board, but there's another board there. Okay, it's this one. I can edit in place, select it again, and I can create another void by extrusion, set the work plane here, and trace the same rectangle. So I have created the void. Now extend the void, click OK, and we do have the opening now. Okay. And now I'm going to hide this internal finish. And let's see what we have here. Okay. So I have removed this one. So I need another rafter like this to create this cavity that we have here. So on this level, I can copy, and I'm going to copy this here. They're in identical instances in the same place. Okay. That's because I think no, it's good. So we have this, And now I don't have any thermal insulation here. So I think I have to copy this thermal insulation. And I can copy this one between these two vertical elements. And well, as you can see, we have to do something here. Okay, so here I need to create those elements over there. And probably we also have to create the structural rafters. If I hide this, yeah, you see that I do not have structural rafters there. Okay, so I think I have to come back here. And we don't have rafters there. So I'm going to create a component model in place. This is structural framing. And I'm going to use extrusion. And remember that this is a 2 by 10 inch. So I'm going to go 1, then 10 inches, 2, and then on the 3D view, where is it? It's there, and I have to move it all the way up here. Okay, it goes from that beam to that beam. The material is the same material, some wood. Okay, and now this one I can copy from this midpoint to that midpoint. Okay, but now the same thing we have to do with this and this. Okay, so I can go to the level 6 again, and I can create another component model in place. Structural framing, another extrusion. I can create a rectangle here. And then move it to the right position. This position here, and this one. Well, actually, these two can be. There you go. Change the material and copy. I think this is a different material. Oh, so this is, no, this is blue lamps. And now what's next? You see that here we have a cavity without any thermal insulation. So that will be a perfect thermal breach. So we have to fix it. Okay, so we have to apply thermal insulation there, and then the second layer of thermal insulation here. So let's do it on the south elevation. No, the level 6. We had the first thermal insulation made of cellulose between the rafters. And then we have the thermal insulation, the internal thermal insulation, these 2 inches or 3 inches, made of rigid insulation. To find out what I'm doing, I think it's time to use the section box. If we use a section box on the 3D view, then we can move it down and then we can see different sections of this. Okay, so what is the wall made of? We have the cellulose here, and we have these double rafters, and then here we have the internal thermal insulation. Here we don't have any of this. So the first thing we need to do is to select the cellulose between this rafter and this rafter, and then between this one and that one, we need the 2-inch rigid insulation. If we move it down this section, so here we see a section through the window, and we can see that there's a double rafter here. We have one rafter there, and we have cellulose there. And here we have the same cellulose, rafter, and double rafter there. And if we move this below here, we can see that we have cellulose, and here we don't have either cellulose and rafters. So when I deleted it, apparently I deleted everything else. So I have to fix it. Okay. So on level 1.6, you see that we don't have any thermal insulation, anything here. We don't have thermal insulation, we don't have rafters. So I'm going to copy this one here and here. Now let's go to the 3D view. We have rafters, but those rafters now are going to be too high. Okay, so now we have to do the same thing we did with the others. So this is not this is the base level. The top level is the seal, and there is no. And the same thing with here. The top level is seal and no vertical. So with the section box, if we move it down, now we see that there are rafters. But we don't have the cellulose. So with the cellulose, we can do the same, but we have the window here to interrupt. Okay, so I'm not going to copy, I'm going to create a cellulose panels here. So let's go to component model in place. This is the wall, and I'm going to use extrusion. I'm going to set the work plane at level 1.6. And now rectangle like that. Before finishing, change this material to cellulose. And finish the model. And now, not in the south elevation, but in the 3D, where is that cellulose? It's here. Okay. So Okay, I think I did it wrong. Yeah, because it was supposed to be there. Okay, it has to be here, and the top has to go up to that point. So I think I can use the section box here. And now I see this cellulose block and move it there. Okay, that section box is very useful because we can find out if something's missing. Okay, so now what is missing? These cellulose blocks here. So I can move it or I can copy. One here, and then this one there. I have to make this slightly bigger. And now we have cellulose blocks everywhere. This is cellulose, but for some reason it has a different texture than this one. Okay, so what's next now? We don't have cellulose here, and we don't have this yellow thermal insulation. So I'm going to use the section box to find out what I have to do here. Okay, so we see that this is a cellulose panel, but we don't have cellulose panel here between this rafter and the other rafter. Did I change the material of this? Yes. I'm going to pick this plane. And I have lost the rafter, but it should be there. Okay, this material is cellulose. And if we move it, that's what we need. I finish the model. I move the section box. And now we see that we have to fill this gap here. Now we can move that element. I'll move the section box again. And now I can copy this one here and here. And this is likely bigger. There you go. So now the only thing that's left is this thermal insulation. So to do this thermal insulation, I'm going to go to the top view and I need the thermal insulation there. Okay. So architecture, component, extrusion, big plane here. And now we need this material. That material is rigid insulation. And let's see where it is now. It's down below. I'm going to finish. I'm going to move the section box up. And cover all this. Now copy. Okay. Before, if we are going to show textures, the default OSB texture that we can find in Revit is very bad. So I'm going to, this is not bad, this plywood, well, could be better, okay. But this one is really bad. So I'm going to show you how to change this, this texture. Okay, if you type OSB texture, you can find different textures here. So this one, okay, so this is the typical OSB. Let's select this one, copy image. And now in Photoshop, we have to create an image like that. So I'm going to open Photoshop. Okay, if you do this, let's get rid of that thing. And save it. So here, this is sometimes you have to save a copy. because we want a JPEG, and that's OSB. Okay, now you open Revit again, you come back here, and we need to change the material. Okay, so we can go to edit in place. We can go to that material. And here in appearance, you have these textures that, as you can see, it's not very good. Okay, so I'm going to create a new one. The name OSB2. And in the appearance, I'm going to select that. OSB. This is it. And now make this sample size 10 feet. Done. Apply. Okay. And finish. So that looks nicer than this one. Okay. Maybe this is I have selected 10, let's say 7 feet. Okay. And now you have to do the same with all those materials. Okay, that looks better than the other one.